Okay, on to transformation, which we just made. What transformation does is allows the individual with, now, neutralization and transformation are for people who understand how to use them. They're not just for someone who walks off the street and says, I want to try some of this stuff. They're for a practitioner who is practicing on themselves in finding their soul and enlarging their consciousness to use for their betterment. And that's all they're for. Transformation, what it allows you to do is to root out undesirable deposits within your soul. Bring them to the surface, and there allow them to go away by exposure of knowledge of yourself and understanding exactly what they are. And so when you use the transformation, what it does is roots out something deep within you that you probably don't even know is there. Brings it to the surface and allows it to go away and transforms you.
So how will you tell when it's there? Will you just feel that something's amiss?
Oh, you know it's there. There's no question about it. I mean, it's profound. It rages to the surface, and it explodes like a volcano. And it dances on you all over the place until you do something about it. It's very powerful. It comes up in a rage. It's like it's a little secret thing that's been caught deep inside of you and discovered. And it doesn't want to be attacked. And all you're doing is trying to dislodge it from your soul. And as you pull it out, it's clinging on to its life and its existence, because it gains its life and existence and life force from you. You give it energy to live on, to feed it. And as you take it out, as the transformation nectar brings it to the surface, it kicks and screams and rips and tears on the inside of you.
It's the monster gremlin in our newsletter.
Right, the monster gremlin inside of you. There's lots of them down in there. And as it comes to the surface, you expose it to yourself. You gain a knowledge of what it is. It no longer can hang on to you. You give it no more life because you separate it from yourself and you look at it. And as you separate it from yourself and you look at it, its lifeline is cut off and it dies of suffocation.
But how do you, okay, well, okay, if there's lots of them inside of us, when do we become aware that it is time to have that ounce of transformation nectar to bring it up to the surface?
It's all really a natural process, Lane. It all happens when it's supposed to happen. And I wouldn't really worry about when it's time or try to make it happen. Everything arrives. There's a time and a season for all things. You heard that saying before? Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what this is the time and a season for all things. And when you're ready, you will just automatically be there using it. And you'll
without any... Well...
Yeah. It's just sort of like it all is under the law of cause and effect and karma, and you will arrive at that point and you will start using it and it will bring things to the surface. And when it brings it to the surface, it will be a very painful discovery. And as long as you follow through with the process and go through with it and finish it off, it's very painful to finish it off. And cut its lifeline. It's like cutting your own lifeline because it's part of you, and it dies of suffocation and goes away. But if you say, okay, it's okay, and you put it back inside, it gains strength, because every time it comes out and it's almost put to death, it learns the method of getting back in. And so it's best to get it out the first time and get rid of it rather than putting it back in.
He hasn't seen any experiences take place.
He probably hasn't seen it with people in here. See, we put people in the chair, and usually right after they get out of the chair, or the next day or whatever, they go crazy. Because the little thing is brought to the surface, and it manifests itself, and it jumps up and down and screams and yells. And it's a demon inside of you. And it's screaming for its life. And it does everything that it can to stay alive and to hold on to you. It makes up all these excuses why to stay alive. It has millions of them. They do. I mean, if you never heard anything until you hear some of these little demons and their excuses why they want to stay alive. I mean, these guys have really got it down. That's why they're in existence, you know. They create a purpose for themselves. And you buy it. And you buy all these little reasons that you ought to keep this thing nurtured up in there and feed it and continue to give it your life force energy. It's sort of like a bad habit, like a cigarette, you know. You kick smoking, and all of a sudden you get into a position where you get, well, it won't hurt to have one cigarette. And you start hitting on the cigarette before you know it, you're smoking. It's got you. You ever seen one like that, John?
Mm-hmm.
You have?
Mm-hmm.
What's it say to you?
Just what you said.
That same thing?
Mm-hmm.
Or like, it's like dishonesty. It's the same thing. It's a little demon of dishonesty that crawls inside of you. Like you say that you're going to be, let's just say a couple goes and gets married or whatever, you know, and then one of the partners decides they're going to go out and sneak one off on the side, you know, and this little demon comes in and makes all these excuses and reasons why to do it. So it's okay. And it exists and lives within you and feeds off of you. And what it does is distorts the tone of your soul. It makes it gray. It takes it from a clear, pure color into a distorted color, mashes two colors together in a real gray area. James, you're smiling. What's going through your head?
Gray.
Oh, about gray? Yeah, it's a real interesting color, isn't it? Ron?
When you talk about the demons, these are like energy states or vibrations that hold to it those attributes that you're talking about, like dishonesty and stuff like that. It's like a resonation or vibratory energy.
Exactly. But they also take on a spirit within you or a demon within you, and they form a living existence. You give them life force.
So like
you give them your life force. For example, it's like the parasites in your intestines that help your digestive system work. The only way that they can work is if you give them food to work on. If you put a bunch of stuff in there that's going to kill them, they're going to go out of existence. Now, I'm not saying the parasites in your stomach aren't necessary, okay? Some of them are, but you don't necessarily need parasites that digest meat if you don't eat meat, okay? You may just need ones that digest vegetables, the enzymes and stuff that do that. Or fruit, if you just are a fruitarian. And the same thing takes place on a much larger level within your soul. You get these things that leech onto your soul and suck the life energy out of it to exist. And they distort you. And they live off of you. And I don't know how we really got onto this, but the transformation nectar brings those up to the surface. And when one is brought to the surface, that's why you don't want to use the transformation nectar until you're ready to deal with what's going to come to the surface. Because if you're just going to look at it and say, oh, hello, and then put it back to life and give it a new room to live in, and raise its energy consumption, give it more food, more existence, then you're really doing injustice to yourself and great damage to your soul by doing that. You don't want to use it until you're ready to do something with your existence. Until you've made a decision to jump off and give it everything you got. It's sort of really dangerous to use it, because what it does is recreate the things within you. It's like using antibiotics for one day, and if you use them for one day, what it does is it allows the bacteria within your body to build up a resistance against the antibiotic, and then it comes back twice as strong the next time, right? Mm-hmm. You got to use it enough to destroy the bacteria, or you got to be willing to go through what it takes to deal with it when it comes up. So that's what transformation does, and that's the nectars, all we've made so far. Any questions?